So, hi guys, hi classmates. For today's video, we have the parts of the cell. Last discussion, we discussed the cell theory. But now, we will go to parts of the cell. So, we have here the diagram of the human cell. We have the centrioles, Golgi apparatus, cell membrane, nucleolus, nucleoplasm, rough endoplasmic reticulum, smooth endoplasmic reticulum, cytoplasm, ribosome, mitochondria, and the lysosome. So these are the parts of the human cell. First, we have the rough endoplasmic reticulum, or ER. So the rough endoplasmic reticulum is a part of the endomembrane system of the cell and a subset of the endoplasmic reticulum. So this organelle is primarily concerned with the synthesis, folding, and modification of proteins, especially those that need to be delivered to different organelles within the cell or secreted from the cell. The rough ER is also involved in the response of the cell to unfolded proteins and plays a role in the induction of apoptosis due to its close interaction with mitochondria. The rough ER is characterized by the presence of membrane bound to the ribosomes that give it a distinctive appearance under the microscope. So these ribosomes look like studs and distinguish the organelle from the smooth section of the ER. So some proteins are also synthesized by strings of ribosomes that we call polysomes. The rough ER can be identified by its morphology. As well, it often consists of convoluted flattened sacs, like the structures that originate near the nucleus. So the lumen of the rough ER is contiguous with the perinuclear space, and the membranes of the rough ER are associated with the outer nuclear membrane. So that is the rough endoplasmic reticulum. Next is the nucleoplasm. So do you have idea what is nucleoplasm? What is nucleoplasm? Have you ever filled a balloon up with water in the summertime right before throwing it an unsuspected friend? Most of us have. So you have probably noticed that the balloon somewhat holds its shape and volume when filled with water. So now imagine that the same water balloon on a microscopically small scale, even smaller than the cell. So picture that balloon as the nucleus of the cell and the control center where many of the key processes to sustain and perpetuate the life occur. So in this metaphor, where the balloon is the nucleus, the water is also the nucleoplasm. So, quite simply, nucleoplasm is a type of protoplasm, similar to the cytoplasm that can be found throughout the cell body, outside the nucleus. So, very specialized operations occur inside the nucleus, which require a different type of protoplasm. The nucleoplasm is composed of water and dissolved ions and a mixture of other molecules. This substance is completely enclosed in the nuclear envelope, which also contains nucleotides and critical enzymes that facilitate the replication. So we have the diagram of nucleoplasm. So in nucleoplasm, we have nucleus envelope, chromatin condense, nucleolus, cisternae, nucleolus pores, and nucleus. So we have nucleolus. So the nucleolus is the distinct structure present in the nucleus of eukaryotic cells. Primarily, it participates in assembling the ribosome, alteration of transfer of RNA, and sensing cellular stress. So the nucleus is composed of RNA and proteins, which form around specific chromosomal regions. It is one of the main components of the nucleus. So the chain of RNA and DNA, along with other components, form of the structural components. The main components of the nucleolus are RNA and DNA, and also the proteins. So what is the function of nucleolus? The nucleolus is considered as the brain of nucleus, covering nearly 24% of the volume of the nucleus. Primarily, it takes part in the production of subunits that unite to form ribosomes. Hence, nucleolus plays an important role in the synthesis of proteins and in the production of ribosomes in eukaryotic cells. Next is the cell membrane. So what is a cell membrane? The cell membrane is a thin membrane that encases the cytoplasm of the cell and holds the cytoplasm as well as the cell's organelles within it, separating the interior of the cell from the outside environment. The cell membrane is permeable, meaning that it allows certain substances to move into the cell while it keeps certain other substances out of the cell. So the function of the cell membrane is the cell membrane serves a variety of functions. As previously mentioned, the cell membrane serves as a barrier that can open to allow certain needed substances into the cell while keeping other substances outside of the cell. So cell membrane, it is the entrance and exit of the cell. However, the cell membrane also gives support and balance to a cell, helping it maintain its shape, and the cell membrane also serves as an anchor point for the cytoskeleton of the cell in some organism. The cell membrane also helps regulate the growth of the cell by controlling the processes of exocytosis and endocytosis. So exocytosis has vesicle that contains lipids and proteins combined with the cell membrane, which has the effect of increasing the overall size of the cell. Endocytosis serves the opposite function, removing proteins and lipids from the cell membrane and bringing them into the interior of the cell, decreasing the size of the cell membrane and the cell itself. Next is the Golgi apparatus. The Golgi apparatus, also called Golgi complex or Golgi body, membrane-bound organelle of eukaryotic cells. Cells with clearly defined nuclei that is made up of a series flattened stop pouches called cisternae. The Golgi apparatus is responsible for transporting, modifying, and packaging the proteins and lipids into vesicles for delivery to targeted destination. So in other words, the Golgi apparatus is a messenger transporting, modifying, and packaging proteins and lipids into the vesicle. It is located in the cytoplasm next to the endoplasmic reticulum and near the cell nucleus. While many types of cells contain only one or several Golgi apparatus, plant cells can contain hundreds. Next is the centrioles. A centriole is a small structure made of microtubules which exists as a part of the centrosome, which helps organize microtubules in the body. A centriole is the main unit that creates and anchors microtubules in the cell. Typically, a eukaryotic has one centriole that is at a right angle to the second centriole in the centrosome. Microtubules extend from each centriole and use the centriole as an anchor for the base of each microtubule. Each cell may have hundreds or thousands of microtubules that extend to the various of the cell. During normal cell functions, motor proteins attach to both microtubules and items to be transported. The motor proteins crawl along the microtubules, dragging whatever substance or compartment with them. Not all cells contain the centrioles, and other methods are used for creating microtubules. So during mitosis, centrosomes are replicated by duplicating each centriole. The first centriole then divided into two centrosomes, each with one centriole at a right angle to the second centriole. Microtubules extend between the centrosome, which push the sets of centrioles, and the microtubules will attach the chromosomes at their centromeres, which are parts of the DNA specially formulated to allow the attachment of special proteins and microtubules. Next is the Lysosome. So the lysosome are membrane-bound organelles which are found in animals. Some plants are thought that to have lysosome, though there are some debate on the matter. They have a single outer membrane consisting of phospholipid bilayer. The phospholipid bilayer means that one half is hydrophobic, avoiding the water, hydrophobic, while the hydrophilic half loves water. The membrane contains acid and enzymes capable of digesting and decomposing macromolecules. So macromolecules are molecules with a large number of atoms. When we say macro is large, such as nucleic acids, synthetic polymers, and proteins. So the functions of lysosome is to remove waste as well as destroying a cell after it has died, called autolysis. A lysosome is an organelle containing digestive enzymes, which it uses to function as a digestion and waste removal for cells, food particles, bacteria, and etc. Next is the mitochondrion. Mitochondria are membrane-bound organelles present in the cytoplasm of all eukaryotic cells that produces adenosine triphosphate or ATP, the main energy molecule used by the cell. The mitochondrion, popularly known as the powerhouse of the cell. Mitochondria is a plural and singular is the mitochondrion, are a double membrane-bound organelle found in most eukaryotic organisms. They are found inside the cytoplasm and essentially function as the cell's digestive system. They play a major role in breaking down nutrients and generating energy, rich molecules for the cell. Many of the biochemical reactions involved in cellular respiration take place within the mitochondria. So the term mitochondrion is derived from the Greek words mitos and chondrion, which means thread, and granules-like respectively. It was first described by a German pathologist named Richard Altman in the year 1890. Next is the ribosome. So our cells and other animal cells contain many different components that function together to promote the well-being of the cell and the body. The mitochondria, for instance, provide our cells with the necessary contained amount of energy compounds needed to perform their various functions. So the nucleus houses the DNA that cells use when they need to use genes to create proteins and regulate various systems in the body like growth. Among the different components of our cell is the ribosome. So ribosomes are responsible for protein synthesis. They are located as free particles throughout the cell in both prokaryotic, like bacteria, and eukaryotic, like us, our cells. They can also be found attached to the rough endoplasmic reticulum ER because the rough ER also helps in the production and movement of proteins. So they have been also found in the mitochondria and the chloroplast. So the function of ribosomes is to synthesize protein as directed in the messenger RNA. Ribosomes are organelles and helps produce proteins with many different functions in the body. They can be found with the cytoplasm or the endoplasmic reticulum. Next is the cytoplasm. So cytoplasm, it is the fluid that fills up the cells, is referred to as the cytoplasm. It encompasses the cytosol with filaments, ions, proteins, and macromolecules, the structure, and also other organelles suspended in the cytosol. But new research suggests that the traditional definition cytoplasm is no longer valid. Decades prior, it was considered to be like a fluid-like substance, but new evidence revealed that it is similar to glass-forming liquids. So the major function of cytoplasm is to enable cells to maintain their turgidity, which enables the cells to hold their shape. So other functions of cytoplasm are the jelly-like fluid of the cytoplasm is composed of salt and water and is present within the membrane of the cell and embeds of all the parts of the cell and organism. So the cell is home to many activities of the cell as it contains molecules, enzymes, and the crucial in the breakdown of the waste. A part of the cytoplasm, the cytosol has no organelles. And the last is the smooth endoplasmic reticulum. The smooth ER is important in the synthesis of lipids such as cholesterol and phospholipids, which form all the membranes of the organism. In